Good evening. Welcome. Please, before we begin, which is redundant, no, it's ridiculous because we've just begun. How would it be before we begin? In any event, you must like this video. If for some reason you have not subscribed to the channel, you must. It is time for me to ask questions of you and for you to ask questions of me. Let us use tonight's effort to do this. And I have placed a poll for you, for your review. There's only 4 positions here. There's only 4 choices. Who will be the 2024 POTUS? RFK Jr., Joe Biden, Ronald Reagan, Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis. On my community page, I have also Gavin Newsom. Who will be the 2024? Not whom do you want, not whom would you care to see, not who would be the best president, but who will be the next president. Bill Belcher, Big Dick Long, Liz Solak, George, everybody's here. Welcome, welcome. Who will be the president? Now, I'm not going to challenge you, but you must tell me why. You must tell me why, and I must have a cogent reason. And you must ask me. You may ask me a question too. Remember, whenever somebody asks you this question, always answer, if the election were held today. Mark Lewis says Kamala Harris. Now, Mark, I don't know if this is your attempt at humor, but let's go with this. Do you truly believe that she will be the 2024 nominee? Kamala Harris. Is this humor? Is this a joke? Is this attempt at cachinnation to elicit guffaws and chortles from us? Are you serious? Because if you write this down, I will take you as serious. You believe in 2024, Kamala Harris will be the president of the United States. You are saying this out of a commitment, out of a true belief. This is what you believe. You are saying this to be true for the world to know. You are saying Kamala Harris will win by virtue of A, getting the nomination, the DNC nomination, and also beating the Republican and getting it over Bobby Kennedy or Joe Biden or Gavin Newsom. Beating, or dare I be even more strange, to suggest that maybe Joe Biden would win, and then, God forbid, something might necessitate her taking over as VP. Let us hope for that not to occur, because we are not one of those shows that makes fun of tragedy and the like. Mark says not the 2024 nominee, but quite possibly the next president. You said, again, the question was, who will be the 2024 president? And your response was not the 2024 nominee, but quite possibly the next president. The question was, who will be the 2024 president? And you say, well, not the nominee. So you didn't answer the question. You did not answer the question, and that's fine. You are okay. You are allowed to do that, Mark. And, sometimes you might think, I'm going to answer another question. I'm going to ask, if somebody says, excuse me, do you know how to get to JFK? I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to tell them how to get to Newark Airport. Why? I just am. I'm going to answer another question. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for that. Excellent point. Don't, please, you can say whatever you want here. You don't even have to answer the question. It doesn't even have to be based in reality in the least. Dick Bork says, with Trump, it started. With Trump, it will end when the people are awake. I don't know what that means, but thank you very much. Starting early, are we? That should be a poster. With Trump, it started. With Trump, it will end when the people are awake. Yeah. What does that mean? I don't know. But I'm going to have that on my T-shirt. Thank you. BlackRock and Vanguard are unelected government. This is from West. Why is that? Again, you are obviously talking about the corporate equity indices, perhaps, I think. DeSantis, Gabbard, 2024, shake it up. So you're saying it would be Ron DeSantis. That could very well be. That could very, very well be. If he, of course, wins the election. But as far as nominee, absolutely. I think right now what we're seeing is the Republican Party getting really tired, sad to say, of Trump. Sonic boom over Washington, D.C. Ethan Boland. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go live right now to Ethan Boland. Ethan, by the way, I was hearing today, Ethan, you were inconsolable when you found out that Chuck Todd was leaving Meet the Press. I understand from friends and family alike that you had a welfare visit from the authorities because you were so upset over that. Yes, the sonic boom, apparently, in order to catch a plane, an errant plane that flew over restricted space, it hit that boom so they can respond to planes. Apparently they can. Scott Robinson, thank you, Scott. Welcome to you, my friends. Thank you. Thank you so much. Liz Solak, everybody. Trump will win. R. Heath says Trump will win. How will that be, R? If you don't mind me calling you R, how will Trump win? Trump is going to get the nominee, and Trump is going to beat. You're saying, R, that the majority of voters will vote, and he will get the electoral votes for Donald Trump. He will be that the RNC, he will be nominated, and the country, this country is going to vote for him. Here we go. More logoria from Dick Bork. Corrupt, crime, swamp, lying, war, fake news. What else have it be the last 6 years? Are everyone blind? Ladies and gentlemen, do not let a refusal to adhere to the rules of coherent English in any way dissuade or impede you from answering the question. Thank you. Thank you, Dick. Let me just say this again. Corrupt, crime, swamp, lying, war, fake news. What else have it be the last 6 years? Or are everyone blind? Thank you. Elizabeth Sorella says he will fight to the death to save this country. Well, I don't know about him fighting, but the question is, will he get the nomination? Will the Republican, not Republican voters, but the Republican nominee? As you know, and I've saved this from the other day, little notes I've had here. In 1975, right around these times, Hubert Humphrey was at 30 points. George Wallace was at 20. Jimmy Carter less than 5. 2008, Hillary was at 48 points. Barack Obama, 21. And in 2007, Rudy Giuliani was at 24 points with John McCain, 17. Charlie Martin says, howdy, Lionel. Howdy, folks. You know, Charlie, I appreciate that. I appreciate a nice howdy. By the way, so far the poll says Donald Trump with 63% of the votes. With 82 votes in so far. Looks good to me. Looks good to me. Did you hear Chuck Todd today say, of course, that he was leaving to spend time with his family after 30 years? They're grown. They're gone. You know, I think, come on, kids, let's have dinner. I'm 40 years old, Dad. Oh, that's right. Yeah. R. He, thank you. You do a wonderful job of hosting dialogue. R, thank you so much. And R, you do a wonderful job of showing gratitude and kindness and beneficence. And I thank you, R. And I mean that. How about R. Heath, everybody? Who can do better than R. Heath? Come on. Come on. Put your money where your mouth is. Come on. Don't let R stand alone. You're going to say, you know what? She's right about this. I pour my heart and soul out every single day, every morning, every night for you. It's you know it. And then sometimes if I'm late, you say, he's late. I'm sorry. I come home, I do this. It's tough doing this, but you know what? I do it out of a labor of love. So R, thank you for that. Chuck Todd, no more Meet the Depressed. Very funny, Dan. Very funny. Can we even elect someone today? I don't know what that means, but sure you can. In your own mind, perhaps. Maybe you in your mind. In your mind, you can do that. If the election were held right now today, let me see if I can tell you this. They are setting Trump up. They don't want him. You do realize this. Tell me you understand the Republican Party, the Republicans, not the voters, but the party. They don't want Trump. Do you understand that? Tell me you understand that. Tell me you understand that. The party does not want him. Do you understand that? If Trump selects an outstanding woman from right field, he'll win. This is Al Sanchez Jr. Al, do you think that the role of the vice president makes any difference whatsoever? Do you think that, Mike, tell me a vice president that made any difference whatsoever? You say, you know what, that Trump is. But you know, and who would that, I don't know who that woman would be. I don't know. Trump Kennedy. Cindy, by the way, Cindy Delk. Cindy, that would be, to me, absolute heaven. Heaven. I love Bobby Kennedy. I love Bobby Kennedy. I love him. I love that guy. I think he is. I hear from people who don't even vote, don't care, don't know anything. He is somebody who will understand things at a little different level than I think Mr. Trump does. So, Cindy, I'm with you 100% on that one. I know it's not going to happen. You got a Democrat and a Republican. It's not going to happen. But you know what? Mark Lewis says, at this point, I'm all in for Vivek. That would be a good thing. All in for Vivek. Smart man, absolutely wonderful, very, very bright indeed. Diane has retracted her message. My friends will never know what it is. It has been a redacted statement and retracted as well. Thank you. I appreciate your time and effort. Thank you, Pamela. Thank you for that. You're very, very kind. Mr. Jones says, if Trump doesn't say that Fauci and the like lied to him and he did not know what would happen, the people won't back him. No, you are not. No. I'm going to say something right now, and I want everybody to listen to me very, very, very carefully. Fauci CDC talk is third rail stuff. Talk about it, but don't talk about it. You don't want to do anything that's going to stop the process. You just want this. Yeah! And then the next point. Yeah! And not. No. I would say absolutely not. Eugene Reed says, I'd be more concerned about my state's legislatures and governor than anyone for federal office. States have been pretty active the last few years. It's a very good point. It's an excellent point. RFK said, absolutely not. Of course he said that, Mary, of course. Mary also said, hi, Pamela. Mary, my name's not Pamela, but thank you very much. Extra Mile says, I like RFK too. Pamela Merrick says, I love Bobby Kennedy Jr. John Doe says, does it matter if it's Donald Duck, just as long as he does the job? It's a good question. Let me also tell somebody something, and I'm going to say this to Mr. Bobby Kennedy Jr., and I hope he's listening to me. Please do not think ill of me when I say this to you. I'm going to say this right now. Bobby, you're a Kennedy. Wait a minute. R. Heath says, it'll be Trump Kennedy. He wants to break Uniparty. R. Heath, thank you again. Is that R. Heath beautiful or what? One thing first, and then we'll go back to what you're saying. Bobby Kennedy, you are a Kennedy male. You have, there's an expression in the South, this is a family show, but it sounds like a 3-checkered goat. You have, and your family has had congenital satyriasis. You are satyrs. You're out there, and you've got your new wife who can't get a job in Hollywood because of your particular stance. She kind of knew this, but maybe didn't. You're going to have women throw themselves at you. You're going to have honey traps like you can't believe. You are going to go out, and if you thought you were popular before, they are going to throw themselves at you. Be careful. Cuidado. Na cura. Ten cuidado. As we say. That's all I'm going to say. And don't put it past your political enemies to set you up. Okay? I know this is tough, but they will do that. You were so right about live chat. You were so right about that. I am so sorry I did not see that. Thank you very much for that. Very, very kind. Kind words. Thank you. You are so right about everything. Trump and Kennedy is a winning ticket, but the country is filled with weak men. True. This is very, very true. But I personally would love it. I would love for somebody to say, now remember, the parties have to do it. And what I wish we would do, what I wish upon wish would be there and say, the hell with the parties. Donald Trump, listen to me when I tell you this. If Donald Trump and let me just explain something. The reason why I love Donald Trump is he's crazy. He's crazy. He's crazy to do the right thing. He's crazy to do things that just are crazy. He's not worried. Ron DeSantis is, he's playing this. I'm sorry. I'm just not there yet with him, but whatever. But if Donald Trump and Bobby Kennedy said, listen, they're not going to want us. They don't want us in our parties. Bobby, they don't want you in the Dems, and they sure as hell don't want me in the Republicans. What do you say? Third party, I'm with them 100%. I'm with them 100%. We've had great third parties in the past. Absolutely. Okay? 100%. I hate parties. They don't mean anything to me. It's like if I told you, hey, do you want to see a country music concert? Who? Country. No. Who? No. Who? That label doesn't mean anything to me. What does that mean? Country music. Who? That's where we are now. Republicans. Which Republican? Who? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Do you think anybody on the left, do you think Ron DeSantis, I think, he kind of like a bit, Bobby Kennedy likes Bitcoin, okay. Central bank digital currency, oh my God. Oh, you're going to see passports like you can't believe. You talk about social credit scores. Oh my God, get ready for this. Citizen Ken says, AI simply says John Carl Fetterman for 2024. AI is absurd and insane. AI? You don't mean artificial. I would love it. John Doe says, It was Trump, Bobby, Carrie Lake, Ron Baby. At this point, anyone with a brain. Carrie Lake annoyed me to the point where all she did was talk about, and Trump does this too. I'm sorry. You've got to get away. Stop talking about 2024. Stop it. Stop it. It's not that it's not important. It's important to you, but nobody's staying up at night. Nobody's saying, honey, wake up. What is it? What is it? Carrie Lake. What they did to her. Would you stop talking about Carrie Lake? Dick Borg says, yes, he is crazy, but not a psycho, racist, or transgender. See, what Dick Borg does is he speaks in a style and a patois that certainly, of course, defies anything even remotely resembling English. But that's what I like about Dickie. Dickie Borg speaks, it's the racists. Not the racist, but the racist. That's Rastafarian and racism combined, and it's even more deadly. Eric Powell says, I picked Trump, but I honestly don't know who will win. People still really hate him. Eric, you are so correct. They do. You are so correct about that. Eugene Reed says, don't stay home if Gavin Newsom is on any federal ticket. He's the Justin True Comido. There you go, of California. Well, let me tell you something. He is a dangerous, and a most able person, okay? Pamela says, I watched an interview on YouTube. Bobby Kennedy Jr. said that he would not run with Trump. They have too many differences. Well, of course, Pamela, do you think it would be wise for him to go on a show when his base is Democrats? Of course he's not going to say that. Of course. Wait till they said to him, Bobby, yeah, it ain't going to happen, Bobby. The Democrats don't want you. They don't want you. They don't want your family. It doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter. Al Sanchez says, could it have been a plan by Trump and RFK to unite the parties to reestablish American confidence in our democracy, or what's left of it? Could be. Is it likely? No. No. Liz Solak says, when I select live chat, it says live chat has moved. Well, I don't understand that. Let me talk to you about something, which is very, very important. Somebody somewhere is going to have to break away from what's happening here. Let me explain. Every time there's been any kind of an improvement, whatever it is, in terms of music, in terms of medicine, in terms of science, in terms of anything, it's been somebody who's been brave enough to come forward and say, I'm going to buck, let me say that correctly, convention. I'm going to say something. I'm going to do something in a way that nobody else has done. I'm going to do things my way. And there are some things that we agree with. Some things that we agree with. Think about this. What is the one? What do you think, Bobby Kennedy Jr.? What are the main things? First and foremost, Bobby Kennedy has shown an absolute, indefatigable leadership involving issues that he has obviously been maligned and misquoted about. But there will be a time in this country where we have very serious health issues. There will be, whether it's pandemics or not, things like diabetes problems, obesity problems, mental health problems. And somebody will say, we want to apply something across the board. Across the board. It may not be something involving a vaccine, but it may be just medical treatment, psychiatric treatment. And Jacobson against Massachusetts is a 1905 case which establishes the notion of police power. But it's outdated because a lot of the rights were not incorporated by reference in 1905. And we have new rights that we didn't have then. But Bobby Kennedy understands the idea. He's not somebody who's going to be cowed merely because somebody says, well, we got to do this. We got to do this. Remember, they were furious with Rick Perry, who wanted to, by imprimatur, by legislative action, to mandate Gardasil vaccines for kids. People went crazy. Left, right, Democrats, Republicans. What are you doing? So that's important. Central bank digital currency. Oh my God. AI. Oh my God. Do you think that Donald Trump would understand that? I think so. Do you think it would be a good idea to sit back and say, wait a minute, this foreign policy is ridiculous? Do you think it's important for people? Bobby Kennedy understands a little bit about, dare I say, the deep state, the shadow government, the problems with having intel agencies too out of control. You think he knows something about that? You think Bobby Kennedy would know a little bit about that? I think so. I think he'd know a lot about that. Call me wacky. Pamela says, Bobby Kennedy Jr., he took Donald Trump's country to court over golf courses and the environment. He's an environmental lawyer. That is true. That is true, and that's fine. And Donald Trump would say, that's okay. I understand that. You have to do what you have to do. Same thing with golf courses. Scotland did it as well. A storm is coming. Absolutely correct. Dick Bork says, after Trump's winning, I hope Bobby and Trump will work together for a better world, freedom, peace, and health care. I like that. Samantha Power. Oh, my God. Now, a couple of things here. And this is the most important. Do you think the left or the right has any clue as far as war goes? I think Bobby Kennedy Jr. have a very simple idea about war. Here is the way it is. Number one, we do not get ourselves in wars. That's the last result. When you go to a doctor, when you go to a surgeon, and you say, listen, is amputation on the table? What? I came here because of spider veins. Is amputation on the table? Amputation? What are you talking about? Well, if it turns into absolutely the left, that's what war is. That's what war is. Do you think Bobby Kennedy would understand a little bit about color revolutions? Do you think he would be able to understand? If I sat down with Bobby Kennedy and say, Bobby, can I give you some stories? Would you like me to tell you what history says and what really happened? Bobby, would you like to hear me to tell you about Rose revolutions, about Tiananmen Square, about the Arab Spring, about Iraq and Iraq? I think Bobby Kennedy, more than anybody else, would understand that. Don't you think so? What role do you think as a vice president? Bobby Kennedy Jr. doesn't want to be a vice president. Now, as a practical matter, would you pick Bobby Kennedy as a vice president? Hell no. Somebody more powerful than you, smarter than you, more popular. When was the last time we had the most, let me ask you something. Who was the most powerful vice president in American history? Who was that? Who was that? Answer my question. Who is the most powerful vice president in American history? I turn it to you. Remember John Nance Garner said it's not worth a bucket of, they changed it to spit, but that's not what he said. RFK's wife is his secret weapon? I don't think so. Who is it? Never outshine the boss. Eric is right about that. Kenneth Higby says, of course the Republican Party leaders don't want Trump. They are part of the swamp. Yes. Part of the swamp? They are. John McGuire couldn't get higher? Dick Cheney, absolutely. Though LBJ might have been the most knowledgeable, Dick Cheney was it. Dick Cheney, there was nobody like Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney readdressed something called the unitary executive. Look it up. with his man David Addington. Dick Cheney was it. Dick Cheney was the PNAC neocon front and center. Dick Cheney was he had that, remember, he had that walk-in vault with the secrecy and Bush didn't have any clue. But LBJ was absolutely quashed. He was kept out of the way. Bobby Kennedy hated him. They wanted, who was it? Not Symington. Who was it? Symington? Who was it the last minute? Bobby Kennedy was furious with LBJ. Hated him. LBJ knew more than anyone. LBJ could have been used, but was there as they did not stand. They couldn't stand him. He was below him. He was rude and crude, and he was, this class. They hated him. But he knew more than anybody else. LBJ was probably, and Caro's right, he was the most effective Senate leader ever. Dick Cheney was absolutely the most important. Dick Cheney, and where's Dick Cheney now? Dick Cheney, by the way, supports gay rights. His daughter's gay. Dick Cheney had, he's very quiet. The best debate I ever saw was Dick Cheney and Joe Lieberman. Did you ever see that one? That was the most incredible debate ever. It was the most gentle, respectful, intelligent. It was perfect. Absolutely perfect. But here is the question. Richard Nixon, no. Richard Nixon was not a white, Pamela. He was not, because under Eisenhower couldn't stand him. And if it wasn't for the Checker speech, they were going to get rid of him. They never talked, they didn't like. And the weakest maybe of all was Truman. Truman never even talked to LBJ. Truman was, when Wallace was booted to put in Truman was an old Pendergast ward healer. Oh God, he was. Harry Truman was one of the most overrated presidents in this country. Same thing with John Kennedy. But let me explain to you what has to happen. Imagine this. If you sat down and imagine this, I could just be there in the president. Cone of silence. We have got to have this rule. We're going to talk. I would love to ask questions. Chatham House rules, no. We don't talk at all, period. Nobody ever hears what we're going to say. Nobody's ever going to hear what we say. Ever. Zero. Ain't gonna happen. You understand what I'm telling you? Do you understand what I'm saying? Ain't gonna happen. But this is what I would talk about. And I would love to sit there. And I would love so much. Even the Bobby Kennedy with the evidence. You don't understand the evidence that was available even for Bobby Kennedy. And he knows this. I know he knows this. And it must kill him. He must know the same thing that William must know, Harry must know. I think that's one of the reasons why Harry went crazy. But they, more than anybody else, will know and will sit there and say, Bobby, Mr. President Trump, what do we do with this globalist shadow government that runs everything? What do we do with these people, I ask you? That's my question. What do we do? How do we change this? Where do we start first? How do you undo what was done? How do we undo the World Health Organization? How do you undo the Bank of International Settlements, who was going to be handling the CB, Central Bank Digital Currency, CBDC? How do we do that? How do we unravel Jekyll Federal Reserve, that a part of this coalition from everybody from CFR to and they're still there. They might be a little bit, Club of Rome might be kind of sort of, I don't know, kind of diluted. But Bobby and Mr. President, what do we do about Agenda 2030? What do we do about Agenda 21? These are going to be implemented. What are we going to do about this? What are we going to do about all of the think tanks and all of the organizations, the NGOs and the like that are standing by ready to be implemented? I would sit there and say, we need the following. Mr. President, Bobby, we must first of all understand that what we are going to engage in is the most dangerous stuff that we could ever be a part of. Do you understand that? Yes. Here's my suggestion. Number one, we make it sound like a hammer has just shattered the foundation of this shadow government regime. Number two, we need a Praetorian Guard. You know what that is, right? Praetorian Guard. And we also need ninjas. What I mean by that is we have to have our own separate group of people. Some of them might be secret. Some of them might be not even disclosed. Some of them, we have to have our own wise men, so to speak, our own group of people representing a series of international concerns. These are your advisors. Maybe not necessarily people who aren't, they may not be in the cabinet, but people that we go to. And the first thing is we have to sit down and explain to you how this runs. Who are these people? What is the role of George Soros? What is the role of Klaus Schwab? What is the role of the World Economic Forum, World Health Organization? What about Agenda 21, Agenda 2030? What about sustainability? What is happening? What about all of these agendas? What about that Rex 84 and what about all of these plans, these contingencies? You need to sit and explain to you what you are walking into and what is here. Who is who? Mr. President, Mr. Kennedy, remember, if you know their names, they're not involved. If you know their name, if you can identify, you go, yes, that's George Soros. It's not George Soros. It's not. If you can name an organization, it's not the organization. I guarantee you. There used to be this thing one time that said, how do you know about stalkers? And a cop one time said, it's the guy who doesn't call you that you should worry about. Well, who's not? The world's not calling me. Exactly. Remember this. And I think Trump likes this. And he likes this sir stuff. Where do you think, if I just gave him and said, let me tell you a little bit of story, a little story. Where do you think things happen? Where did color revolution start? Did you ever remember that? Do you remember hearing about that in the newspaper? Do you remember hearing about Congress deciding that? Do you know what happens? Gerald Celente asked Judge Knapp to be Bobby Kennedy Jr.'s vice president on his show. By the way, two people I absolutely love. Gerald Celente is one of a kind. Gerald Celente has the best line that I've quoted 1,000,000 times. And I'm not exaggerating. Well, he said, what do you think would be the chance if we what would be the chance of the United States invading Iraq if their main export was broccoli? Superb. Celente is aces. I love him. Judge Knapp? Superb. Superb. He has a commitment to the Constitution. You know I'm grabbing it. I'm grabbing it. A commitment to the Constitution and an understanding that I have. It's this rule book. And you may not like parts of it, but you don't change it. The Constitution doesn't evolve. The Constitution doesn't grow. It doesn't let me give you an example. Let's say I'm a line judge at the U.S. Open. And I'm just doing, balls in or out. It's Federer against, I don't know, whoever the hell it is. And I'm watching this, I'm thinking, these lanes, these were constructed during the time of Don Budge and Jack Kramer and Bill Tilden, and oh, come on. Federer can put it in anywhere he wants. I mean, this is ridiculous. To think that we're using the same alleys, the same lengths, the same that we used in the 20s. Come on. You know what? Even though the rules say this, and even though the ball is technically in, I'm going to call this out because I think the rules of tennis should evolve to take into account that these tennis players are far better today than they would say, you're an idiot. That's not what the rules say. That's the Constitution, and that's what Knapp does, and I love that. And sometimes it's brutal. Sometimes it's, sometimes sometimes you get stuff you may not like. You may not appreciate that. But the people that I enjoy. By the way, somebody says, drummer says playing without a net. Robert Frost said, poetry without rhyme is like playing tennis without a net. Big Dick Long says, I am afraid that it will take World War III to start this thing over and get it right. There will not be World War III. Suzanne Bethune, the Constitution is not living. Absolutely. By the way, not living, not protean, not growing. Suzanne, what if your husband or your betrothed or your whatever it is, significant one says, our relationship is growing. And what was considered to be perhaps then, I don't know, infidelity, I think now you'd say, get the hell out of here. What are you talking about? That's exactly right. There will not be World War III as we know it. It will not happen. It does not. The World War III, the idea of dropping bombs is just ridiculous. Nobody does this. There will be EMP blasts. There will be grid exchanges. Elon Musk, watch him. Elon Musk is looking at and also talking a lot about grid, and you're going to be seeing some things that are very interesting. You're also going to see, let me explain something to you. The people who are going to be the prophets, by the way, Eugene, let me stop for a minute. It says you have to examine the Constitution in the context of the governments we had prior to 1787. You need a frame of reference for proper understanding. Eugene, I would venture to say at the time of the, not before, but at the time of it, you have to look at what was written, what is in the four corners of the document, and what was said then, not necessarily before, but yes, as a precursor to an extent. People have to keep the Constitution alive by following it. That's all, and understanding the limitations of it. Understanding the limitation. That's the thing. Let me explain to you. There are going to be people, and there are people right now who are prophets. The smartest people in the world, the ones that in my cabinet, I would love to be the one that says, we're going to come and we're going to meet you. We're going to come into the back. I'm going to bring some people and I want you to listen to them. And you may not know their names, but they'll give you a framework. They'll give you a perspective. They'll give you something you need to know as far as what goes on. And you have to ask yourself a couple of things. There's much to consider. I believe this is still a great country. I'm not going to say it's the greatest in the world. I think that insults other people. But if it is, and the only way is if we maintain the Constitution. And we don't go looking for problems. And we go in and we immediately ask yourself the question, should treason not be extended to individuals who work and who apply their particular trade under color of law, who seek to undermine the safety of this country and the prosperity and the future of this country by playing little war games and playing Risk and sitting in their little, perhaps NATO or whatever their world is, their little groups, their little war institute for the study of war, the Newlands and the Kagans and all these others who sit back and they play 4D chess, and then we're going to do this for color revolution here, and then we're going to get Tiananmen Square, and we're going to bring in democracy, and we're going to do an end around, and then we're going to go in, and once we topple them, we're going to bring in the vacuum, our guy, and we're going to get all their money and all their banks and all their stuff and all their natural resources, and then we're going to expand, and we're going to kill it. Those people have nothing to do with me. They don't make me better, or me stronger, or us better. Oh, no, you don't understand it. They're going to do it right now. Wait till you see the water wars that happen. Hydro-imperialism. Wait until you see that. Pamela says, I barely ever hear anyone running for president except Bobby talk about the Constitution. One thing that his family defense, whatever is doing, there's a lawsuit that's being brought that asks the questions whether certain news organizations are acting as proxies for the government. This is if you found out that John Lennon, during his heyday, was acting contrary to your regime, and you said, I'm not going to cut him off. I'm the government. I'm not going to tell him he can't sing. There's a First Amendment. What I am going to do, I'm going to go to all the major labels, and I'm going to tell them, you cut him off. You tell him he violated terms and conditions of some house rule. I don't care what it is. And if you don't, you'll never exist. All of your tax benefits, we will, okay, we'll do it. Now the government's acting as a proxy. The government would be using, let's say, a record label to shut him up. It just so happens, music was how he was the most popular. And if you said, well, John Lennon, you're a millionaire, why don't you go and you buy your own record company? And then I'm going to go to the radio stations, I'm going to tell them, you better not play him. You better not play him. So what am I doing? I'm the government, and I'm using these seemingly independent private organizations. I'm using them as a means to shut up my adversaries, my enemies. And that's what's happening right now. I also would have, either through legislation or some kind of, I would hope, through some kind of legal construction, and I can't coerce them, but I want the internet, I want platforms, I want mobile to be considered all a utility. I want the same accommodations of the civil rights provisions that prevent an African American or anybody from being thrown out of a public place because of their race or their religion or their sexuality. Twitter is not a private organization. Twitter is the oxygen of communication. It's the public square. It is where everybody speaks. It is the most important, seemingly important means of communication there is. It is the airwaves. And for me to go to Twitter and tell them, I want you to shut this guy up because I don't like what he's saying. And it just so happens that under the regime prior to Elon Musk, and by the way, Elon Musk is not, he's doing a lot better, but he's not perfect, obviously. But it just so happens that the prior administration of Twitter happens to have the same objections that the government has. You don't find that odd? Who doesn't find? You don't find that odd? Jumper says corporate statism. Define statism. Nobody knows this. You think your vote counts? Do I think? Theoretically. Selection, not election. Absolutely. If voting made a difference, it would be illegal. That was said, by the way, by one of the Berrigan brothers, I think by Emma Goldman, by so many people. I believe in the vote. You have to have that. You have to have the plebiscite. What you need to do is you need to say, we have right now, as we speak, 100,000 poll watchers, workers, lawyers, paralegals, experts, election officials, software engineers. We are going to use artificial intelligence to go through and to immediately cull these votes. We'll do it with you. We'll do it. New laws where there is a concomitant means of somebody sitting, basically you mirror your whatever you count, it shows up over here so that I can see what you're counting as it occurs. So when you count one, it shows over here. And we let some artificial intelligence genius with some quantum computing monster brute force computing system go through this and say, Artificial intelligence will know the name of every person, every registered voter in the country, every registered voter. It will know, it will be able to immediately say, wait a minute, this guy's name showed up here. This person's dead. It will do this immediately. You won't need this, and people doing like this, and all that stuff. You will be able to show this. And the country will love AI to such an extent it will say, yeah, show us. And you can put up all the cardboard signs you want in the Philly elections office. Go ahead. We'll do it. This will be brute force. Brute force is the term of art. Brute force counting. We will know everything that happened. We'll know when they came, what time they came. People will say, what is this? And we'll be able to show you at every precinct, in every city. It'll all be connected. Everything. Every vote, every turn, every punch, every check mark, everything. Immediately. And you will know the answer immediately. Done immediately. You're not going to sit there and have somebody at the last minute say, okay, we got some more votes over here. From what county over here? Okay, we'll leave them over there. Oh, no. You will see safeguard after safeguard. You will be able to say, hey, Mr. AGI, Mr. AI, what's the best way to ensure this? Oh, that's through this. Mr. AI, can you tell me whether these results make sense to you? No, they don't. Mr. AI, how fast can you answer these? Like this. We get the answer immediately. Mr. AI, how can we be sure that somebody is not putting their thumb on the scale, so to speak? How do we know that? Because we'll be connected with every other AI system there is. We'll have double redundancy. And it's completely transparent. And you get the answer like that. Like that. AI will be able to go through every single mammogram that's ever been recorded in the history of humankind in a picosecond. So when a woman goes to have a mammogram, her results are looked at like that immediately. And they can zoom in and zoom out, and you get the answer. Boom. That's what it is. It'll blow your mind. You won't sit there some guy with a magnifying glass. What is this? Hey, Mr. AI, look at precinct 532, Philly. Does everything look kosher? Nope. Boy, that was fast. Why? Here's why. Knock, knock, knock. What about this? No. Here it is. And people will say, well, because they will love artificial intelligence. They will love it. And if you have some computer standing there, because they will learn to love this, the uncanny valley will work in resistance. It's going to change everything. It's going to change everything. And we're not talking Chat GPT, by the way. That's just OpenAI stuff. This is different. It will learn. This is what you have to do. It will learn how the system works. It will learn how fraud occurs. It will learn on its own. You don't have to teach it. It learns it. It writes its own code. Oh, God. And the polling? Oh, dear God. Oh, dear God. Imagine if you said, hey, listen, Mr. AI, yes, can you look at Delaware County, Virginia? Okay, what do you want to know? Well, you have all the names of all the people and all the votes and incomes and race. You know everything. You know, not only that, you're locking into new data. You know when the police go down your streets? You know those license readers? Why do you think they're doing that? To see whether you have an outstanding warrant? No. To see who's in and who's out. There is a constant 24/7 panopticon view of who's who, who's where. They want to be able to know at any given time who's where, who's now, who's present, who's... They'll know everything. And they'll be able to tell you specifically, if you want to win this, forget Delaware County, West Virginia, whatever it is, forget it. You don't have the numbers there, even in its best. Or they'll tell you, excuse me, your opponent won where? In that. That's impossible. That's impossible. I can tell you that's impossible. Really? Yes. How many precincts are there? You know what? I just thought of this. How many precincts are there in the U.S.? This is voting. Let's just put voting. How many voting precincts are there? The 2020 survey by the United States Election Assistance Commission found a total of 176,933 precincts or precinct equivalents in the U.S., of which 175,441 were in the 50 states plus the District of Columbia, and 1,492 were in overseas U.S. territories. Great. So we know, so of the 177,000 precincts, what can you tell me? How fast would you like to know? It's all locked in. It's all in the system. Nobody can you can't gum it up. You can't change it. You can't do it. Why? Because we learn how they change things. Remember the old days of butterfly? Remember the 2000 election, Bush against Gore? It was so barbaric. Butterfly ballots, butterfly chads, hanging chads, pregnant chads, this Chad, Chad Everett, Chad and Jeremy. It was oh my God. Wouldn't that be something? And then you have John King on the board. We got the answer right here. That's it. Boom. What time is it? 9 o'clock. And we'll do it. The last poll. What's the last poll to close? What time is it? That would be somebody in the West Coast, obviously, right? Let's say it's 7 o'clock. I don't know, whatever it is. That's 10 o'clock on the East Coast. Everybody else, Virgin Islands, everybody else, we all set? Yeah, tell me when. Yeah, boop, there's the winner. No counting, no nothing. Everybody, every vote verified, every vote with a chip, every vote has some kind of an authentication process. Every vote in there one time. We can see who voted twice, it's biometrics. Hey, AI, can you figure it out? Oh, sure we can. Absolutely. Oh, my God. And you can just tell by the numbers what's going on. And there is a way, hey, AI, I saw that movie, Hacking Democracy. Did you ever see that, Showtime? About how Diebold, that was really something. Can you prevent that, Mr. AI? We sure can. Wouldn't you love that? Wouldn't you absolutely love that? Pam says, why would anyone think that voting is fair if all these politicians are liars for a living? Well, it's a good question. First of all, voting is fair. I don't know if it's fair, but it should be accurate. Now remember, the fair part, you bring up a good point. The fair part is, does everybody have access to the ballot? Do we need voter IDs? Is that in any way, I never understood how that was racist, but I think we know where that one was going. Does everybody, we don't have poll taxes and literacy and all that stuff. That's the fair part, getting there. Did you show up? Yes. Did you have an opportunity to do? Yes. Did you do maybe absentee, whatever it is? Absentee maybe. See, I think people would love their phones. We say, hey, folks, how is like this? Everybody's got a cell phone. Everybody. And people would love to see, here's my vote I got in the mail. Can you just take a picture of that QR code? Here it is. There you go. Thank you. And let's assume, and I don't know enough about this, we go to Mr. AI and we say, can you think of a way to find holes in this? Like if you had to, could you figure a way to cheat the voter? Oh, yeah. Can you make sure we work that into the system? Yes. I mean, it's wonderful. What if people would say, this is the greatest thing in the world. I don't have to go there. This is me. How do I know it's you? It's the same way they do. It's me. You ever gone to a vote? You ever go to a voting, whatever? Looks at you like this. Here's the guy. Turns around. Looks at your signature. What is this? A cryptographer? Well, I don't understand this. A scrivener or whatever the graphic, not graphology, whatever the word is for that. Anyway. Wouldn't you love to see this? It would be the greatest thing in the world to see that. To say we don't have to go to the. I'll do it. Here's my vote. This is me. Biometrics, whatever. This is me. I don't have to go there. I can just do it here. Boom. That's it. One vote. Me. That name. No good anymore. That's it. And if I tell somebody, here, you can vote for whatever. Oh, my God. No more boxes of stuff. No more Dinesh D'Souza with 1,000 mules and all this dropping. But no. We'll figure this. Hey, AI, can you help us? Absolutely. We'll do it. Not only that, but things like the Academy Awards, Hall of Fame voter. Anytime you vote, we know exactly how to do that. And we can look at it right away and say, oh, this is no good. Why? Only 10% of the people did. And we know who didn't vote and where they were. We can get back to them and all that. Oh, my God. Wouldn't you love this? Wouldn't you love to see what would happen if one day somebody says, well, and maybe you can go back and look in the past. I don't really know. But unless you have complete and total faith in the system, that's not it. And this goes for everybody. And whatever the results are, Democrat, whatever, I don't care. Just want to make sure it's fair. That's it. So, my friends, we're going to have a wonderful day coming up in the future. Let me tell you something. It was a joy being with you tonight. Did we have fun? How about giving yourself a big hand? How about a big hand for you? You. You're the reason God made Oklahoma. You're tremendous, and I mean this. You're wonderful. You are so beautiful to me. Can't you see? You are so beautiful to me. You're wonderful. Let's see what the final tally of our vote was tonight on our big board. Let's see what the result was. Who will be the 2024 POTUS with a rousing 214 votes? Donald Trump at 63%, followed by RFK Jr. 21%, Ron DeSantis 9%, and Joe Biden 7%. What does this tell you about us? Tells us that we're pretty sharp. So Pam, thank you. Everybody else, thank you. Drummer and to the entire group, all of you cuckoo wacky cats, thank you immensely for your time. And to R. Heath for your kindness and your generosity and your beneficence, thank you. Thank you very much. You're very, very kind. And your generosity is most appreciated. All right, dear friends, we'll see you tomorrow. Same bad time, 8 a.m. See you then. It was a great and a wonderful evening. Thank you. Let's do this again. I love you. You were tremendous. See you tomorrow. And don't forget these words. Oh, don't forget Mrs. L's YouTube channel at Lynn's Warriors. Don't forget that. And her Twitter account, Lynn's, LYNNS _Warriors on Twitter. And I'm at Lionel Media as well. All right, friends, have a great time. Pamela, Heloise, Big Dick Long, Big Dick Bork, Carol, Pammy, Mark, Howie Brown, and the Band of Renown. Everybody, thank you so much. See you tomorrow. And did I do that yet? No, I didn't. The monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Ta-ta.